Are we live? Yeah. Okay. Phil, we did our mic checks this morning. Hopefully it sounds good.
Yeah, but probably not.
Started off with a bang with some technical difficulties, but let's roll into it.
Hold on, I'm waiting to see. Why can't I see us? Oh, there we are. Such pretty princesses.
Can you pull the...
Hold on one second, please. Okay, I'm ready.
You're ready now?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Take It or Leave It. I'm your host, Meredith Masony.
And I'm Tiffany Jenkins. This podcast will discuss all things marriage, motherhood, and everything in between. Please remember, we're not professionals at anything you may actually need, so any advice we give, you can take
or leave because it might be crap. On today's episode of Take It or Leave It, we've got a little bit of an announcement for our listeners.
We do have an announcement for our listeners. Would you like me to announce?
I would like you to announce.
Okay.
Your eloquent, buttery voice.
Life is messy. For 7 years, we've been shining examples of this every week as you tune in to listen to the Take It or Leave It podcast. The joys of spilling out thoughts, ideas, and antidotes led us to embark on our podcast tour, connecting with friends and fans in numerous cities across the country. However, it has been a bumpy ride. We've pushed through the health, mental health, and personal issues to make this tour a reality. We have unfortunately happened upon a challenge we are ill prepared to meet. Oh, I'm so nervous, dude. I'm shaking. Ticket sales to our shows have stagnated at a level where we can no longer afford to continue with the tour. We are devastated, as you can imagine, but more so for those of you who have already purchased tickets and we're looking forward to coming. If you have already purchased tickets to any of our previously scheduled upcoming shows, the venues will be issuing refunds pursuant to their policies. Take It or Leave It has reached a crossroads. We have decided to take this lesson in humility and leave any excuses behind. We are truly sorry and are hoping that you will be gentle with us as we regroup, heal, and find the future path that allows us to be the best version of ourselves for you all.
Yeah, so it's been a rough couple of weeks with this kind of information sort of being up in the air and not really sure how we were going to be able to manage it. But we've been pretty, I think, transparent about the fact that we've struggled a bit with ticket sales. And when we were crunching the numbers for this leg that was coming up next week, it was going to cost us money out of our pockets to go and perform.
Yeah.
Which financially is just not something that we have the ability to do. I'd love to be able to go all over the country and meet everybody and do a show and not have to worry about bills.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Independent wealth. But that is not reality for either of us. I mean, unless you've got money hidden somewhere that I don't know about and you're not letting me in on it.
I wish I did. And it's definitely a lesson in humility. It's very humbling to admit, listen, this is something that we wanted to do. We got our hopes up and your hopes up to do it. And unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we dreamed that it would. And if there was a way for us to continue making this happen, you know damn well.
Yeah.
That we would.
And, just so everybody sort of understands, one of the things that we could have done that we couldn't do is raise the ticket. If we had raised the ticket prices probably to 2 times what they were, we would have been able to break even.
Right.
But that would have meant that we were selling $60 tickets.
Right. Which we would never do.
Yeah, 60 to somewhere between 60 to $100 for a ticket to one of our shows. And that's not something that I'm comfortable with.
Mm-mm.
That's not something Tiffany is comfortable with.
No.
And so when we looked at this sort of in the spreadsheet and we looked at expenses between airfare, hotel, rental cars, everything that gets added up in between, the percent that the club takes, the percent from here, it was like I can't, I don't understand, I don't understand how people can afford that. And that's not something that, like, my kids asked if we could go see Sal from Impractical Jokers.
Love him.
Love him. We absolutely love we still watch reruns of Impractical Jokers all the time during TV. I looked at and I was like, we can't afford 4 tickets to go see Sal. I'd love to go see Sal, but his, and it's not like I'm calling out Sal from Impractical Jokers. Tickets are very expensive.
Yeah.
And, we really tried to keep the price as low as possible. And unfortunately, I guess that's not feasible in a business model.
Right. Right.
So,
and our main driving motivator was you all. Like, we wanted to take down the screen between us, and we wanted to take this podcast that has been so important to us, but also some of you, and cross over that barrier and be able to hug you and meet you. And the fact that we can't is devastating to us. And I don't want to understate how truly devastated we are to have to do this.
Yeah, I think because let's just make sure that nobody thinks the podcast is going away.
Okay.
It's not. The podcast, we will remain on our couches. I think in the first draft we wrote, on our couches in close proximity to our therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are both struggling as well with, this isn't just an economic issue. This is also has to do with our mental health. It's very difficult for me personally to struggle through this, because I think I tie so much of my own personal worth to the projects that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a real issue for me in looking like, look, we can't sell these tickets. I don't have value, or I don't have, and that gets really, really screwed up in your head.
Right.
That's a very difficult thing to do, that I like to pretend is not happening. And I say, it's going to be fine. This is going to be okay. But then unfortunately for the people that are close to me, like my husband or a tour manager, they're getting assaulted by my insecurities of, why isn't this working? What else can we do? How can we fix this? How can we make this better? And that is exhausting for the people around me. I unfortunately have an uncanny knack to exhaust people close to me when I'm underwater with a project. So I also realize that's not sustainable for anybody in my circle or myself, because I was completely tying my worth and value to the failure or success of this podcast tour. And we can podcast every week how we've been doing it, and we can create a great show, and we can chat with people that are in our live broadcast, and we can read the comments and chat with people after the broadcast is over, and the YouTube comments, or wherever they leave the comments, Spotify, wherever you're listening. No, it is not the same as being in the room and listening to the stories that people come in and share with us. But it just didn't work out this time. And that was a hard pill to swallow. But at the same time, we both had to, we sat there and looked at each other yesterday, and we were like, it's so funny because you both know it isn't working. and you're both looking at each other like, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And you know it isn't working, but you're just looking at each other because we do love spending time together and driving around in cars and jumping curbs.
I'm getting so sad.
Don't be sad. And I got to be honest, it was really fun to be able to do that. I wish I could afford to vacation every month with you.
I know.
Because that's the best.
It really is.
Yeah. So.
Sorry. I've been fine. I've been so fine. It's just hard, I think, because it is one of the greatest joys in my life, getting to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And consider it work and provide for our families while having fun.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just sad because I'm going to miss that. I'm sad for all the people that were disappointing that got their hopes up to see us.
Yeah.
But I know that this wasn't right, and it won't be right, and it wouldn't be right. And we were in a position where we were having to cancel shows at the last minute and leave people scrambling. And we figured that it would be better for us to do it ahead of time so that people weren't left like, what the hell, I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. I made plans. I got a babysitter.
And that's the other part too. I think that's some of it that's really hard, right? Like and I always try to explain this when we were looking to book shows or whatever. You have to think of the mind of a mother, because it's really the majority of our audience is moms, right? And I'm not saying that we don't have, couples that just follow or people without kids, because obviously it's comprised of all of those people. But when the majority are moms, it really is difficult to make those plans and to be like, oh my gosh, it's a Tuesday night. We've got basketball and soccer and this and that. And you have to shuffle all of those things. And those are the nights we were getting in the clubs, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are hard. And when a mom is the one that's doing all of this,
right,
it can be really difficult. And so that was another thing that we were talking about is, we felt uncomfortable about raising the price to a certain point. Even though it seems to be the going market rate, we weren't comfortable with it.
Right.
And it's really tough to be like, I got to get a sitter on a random Wednesday, or, it's not easy. And we're always trying to think about the people who are coming to the show first and foremost. What can they afford? How is this going to be accessible to them? All of that. And even if I start and fail 100 more businesses, that's always going to be the model that I have, is how is this going to benefit the consumer end, right? Like the person who's coming to the show or whatever the adventure is like, how does it affect them? Is it affordable? Are they going to enjoy them? Like I think that that's the right way to do it. And we knew that although we were delivering what I would like to say was a really fun, great show, we weren't going to jack up the prices, and we didn't feel comfortable doing that. And it's not a place we're willing to push to just be like, okay, we can break even here and go have our fun, mini vacays every month.
Right.
Yeah.
And, who knows what the future has in store. There's been a lot of really great ideas in the comments about get-togethers and going out randomly and planning things. And we would love to do all of that, because it is and always has been so important for us to be able to meet all of you who have supported us for 7 years. This just wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah. And it's not like it's like, oh, it's like you get to still be here every week. So it's great in the aspect of the podcast isn't going anywhere. We're still going to do it. We're still going to have fun every week. Shit. I have so many podcast topics that I've been
Me too.
scripting and working on. We might actually have a formatted show for a while until we run out of those and we get disorganized again.
Yeah.
Like that'll be great, so we can pull those up and I can go back to having a bit of that where we have, sort of our structure and our segments that are scripted, which is great. But yeah, it's a tough one, but it's also, and it's layered. And so, it was also tough, not to speak for Tiffany, but she's on this really great schedule of 1 week on, 1 week off. And it was really throwing a monkey wrench in her co-parenting. Mm-hmm. It's another aspect of it that you guys, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you, like, it's layered.
Yeah.
It's layered. It's like a fucking, I don't know, a 7-layer dip. I don't know. I was searching for something.
Yeah, no, it is. And that is an interesting point that I probably wasn't going to bring up because I didn't want to make it about me, but it rippled out and affected a lot of other people as far as the schedule goes in my life. With the 1 week on, 1 week off, every single tour schedule fell on a week when I was supposed to have the children, which was fine. We were going to switch schedules. That was the plan. It would have been incredibly inconvenient for Drew and his situation and his schedule with his other children. So it was putting him in a position that he wasn't thrilled about, but he was going to do it, to be nice and be cool. But it was really difficult to try to navigate whatever.
Yeah. So but it's just, I think that was the point that I was making, is the ripples. Like it just became one of those beasts where it was like, okay, this is not, is this causing more grief than joy in a sense? And unfortunately, I love when people will post, they'll be like, well, is it really about the money? And it's like, well, it is when there isn't enough to pay the bills for it.
Right. When literally we're paying.
Because like, that's like, we're not asking for everybody to like play the violin as we talk about this by any stretch, but we were doing this on making, like, rubbing pennies together, and then the pennies disappeared. And I was like, oh shit. Like, like I was searching when we were getting ready to book this last leg, and we did book it. Like, we had every intention of being in the freezing snow next week. And I was searching for airline credits and which credit card we could put it on. Like, cause it was just like, oh my gosh, like there's no money left. We have to pay for this. What are we doing? Right. So that part of it is difficult, but the good thing is the podcast will remain. TIOLI isn't going anywhere. We absolutely love our time every week.
Yeah, we haven't, not to be a business or anything, but like clearly money has never been an issue for us with this podcast because we don't make any. We do it for fun. we haven't, it's not, we don't,
It's so funny because Dave will be like, okay.
You guys want to promote, or
do you guys want to, can we do something here? Can we promote anything here? And it's like, yeah.
We just want to talk every week with our friends. We don't really care about the business part of it.
It's just, ugh. Anyway, but yeah, so that is the, that's the information on the tour, which it will be public. So for those of you that are in here live with us, you're getting this information first. So just hold your tongues for a hot second, because we're having our wrap meeting after this. And then we will let everybody know just on our platforms what's going on later on today. But
it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, but it's better, like we talked about it. It's better to do this now than every single month people be scrambling because 2 of the 4 shows or 2 of the 5 shows, whatever, had to end up being canceled or moved or rescheduled, or it was getting to be, it was the reality. And so we have to do it. And it's never fun, right? It's never fun to have to do these things. But the positive side here is that it's not like we're canceling and so you don't get any show. You still get the show every week. You just don't get the live show
Right.
in front of a live studio audience, but you still get
Right.
the show every week. So we, because we love doing that. We don't want the podcast to go away. We love the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. We're going to be old ladies
Yeah.
doing the podcast.
How great would that be? If you think the technical difficulties are bad now, could you imagine us at like 70?
I could. I'm still just putting random lipstick on for no reason.
I could hear you at like 75 being like, this is bussin'. I have like 1,000 aura right now.
Yeah, that is
no
me.
cap. No
Bet.
cap. And I'll just be like, girl, you so delulu.
No.
Yeah.
But we love you and appreciate you and hope that you'll stick around with us while we figure out how life works.
Yeah, and I will also be very honest, and in future episodes here, I will be discussing a little bit more about my my diagnosis that I had last year in terms of my mental health, and it definitely played a big role in this tour, and just personally how I was struggling inside of it. And no, it's stopping the tour isn't going to fix my mental health struggles by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying earlier, I can't live in a space where my worth as a person is tied to a ticket count and have any type of sanity.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know until I think it was yesterday that that's what you were experiencing and feeling. And it breaks my heart that you felt that way, because I almost feel like if I would have known it was that much of like, I don't know if I should use the word obsession.
Yeah, I would.
I would have probably stepped in a little bit more if I had known it was mental illness related and you were struggling like that. I wouldn't have wanted you to go through that alone, and you did go through that alone because I wasn't even in the group chats. I remember in the beginning, I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for me to be in there? And you were like, don't worry about it. And so I didn't. And I just missed so much. I would like to go on record and say that this tour never would have happened in the first place if it wasn't for Meredith's tenacity. Like, she was the one in the meeting. She was the one pulling the trigger on things, making it happen, busting her ass. I literally just showed up and talked into a microphone. She was up there with the sound guys trying to get the sound worked out. She was carrying all the equipment around. She was communicating with the managers. She was doing everything. When I tell you, if I had to guess what the split was as far as preparations, I'd say I did maybe 2% and she did 98%. And so I think with your mental health the way it was, it's no wonder, because you were pulling the weight of so much. And I just want to thank you for everything that you did and apologize that you were struggling.
I absolutely, if it meant I got to spend time with you, I would do it over and over again.
Don't do this to me.
Because
I'm very fragile.
Well, that's what this was about, us getting to really connect again and be out there connecting with our community. And it really does suck that money has to play a part in that. And it's just unfortunate, but it does. That's the reality, is you can't pay bills and keep the lights on and continue to afford flights and hotels and do this because we aren't independently wealthy. But I definitely want to be and I'll say it publicly so that it prompts me to make it more of a point. I want to be better about, yes, I get to see you every week on a computer monitor. I want to be more proactive about finding ways for us to get together just because we deserve to be in-person friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Every couple of months, because it's important, and it's something that life just gets in the way of all the time. But if you don't make it a point, it won't happen.
Right.
And, you know, it's tough. You have little kids. I've got the teenagers, but it's important. And I think we definitely put it on the back burner because we get to see each other on the computer screen every week. But getting to spend time with you and be able to be silly and decompress and just have a good time, like, those are things we have to make more of a priority. So
I agree. I do.
We're going to have to do some meeting in the middle places, and that, and, you know, do that just because it's,
and I'll escape and come to you. My kids love you. They love your house.
Your kids are always welcome. I love having the kids here. It gives me that opportunity to be, what's the movie you love? The Trench Bowl?
Matilda.
Do I get to be Trench Bowl when the kids come?
No, I think you're like Miss Honey, and you just would never admit it.
Okay.
But you are like Miss Honey when they're here. And then when they start trifling, then you turn into Miss Trunch Bowl.
Trifling. Those children be trifling. No, so I love that part of it. So I always love when your kids get to come and visit because it's fun, because then Chloe and I can color, and we can do all sorts of fun things. I have so much Play-Doh.
Yeah, I know, you weirdo.
I know. I love my Play-Doh. The kids, we can come play Play-Doh together. Anyway, so yeah, so that is that in terms of announcements. I even texted my therapist yesterday, which I was like, as I was feverishly texting her, I was like, I don't know if this is allowed, but I think I had somewhat of a mini breakthrough, and I need to tell you about it to see if I did or did not.
She's like, this is my home number. Please stop calling.
And because she always texts to remind me of appointments. So she's always like, just a reminder, see you today at 4 p.m. And it's like, okay, thank you. And so I didn't know if I was allowed to text her, like with my my problems via text. And so I did. And when I say it was a long message, like, I can show you on here, like, it's a long message.
Oh, she wrote you back though. That's nice.
She does. So, because I was like, I don't know if this is allowed. And she was like, Meredith, wow, so glad I just got out of a session and saw this. Made my day in the beauty of you taking the, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but she sent me back a really nice message and said it was okay that I texted her. Because of course I felt like I'm breaking the rules.
You are.
I shouldn't even be texting her like this.
Right.
But she was like, no, this is a great breakthrough. And of course she's like, we can talk more about this next time if you need a sooner appointment. And I was like, okay.
That was nice of her.
She's not going to fire me as a client.
Right. I think she's going to give you one chance. Just don't abuse it. You know what I mean? Like, don't push it. Don't be like, hey, girl, it's me. It's 11 p.m., but I just had a thought. And like, use it like a journal diary.
Right. Just thinking, would you like to go get some Starbies, or, what? Like, do we want to talk about what Dave did this morning, or what? No. But it was just one of those moments. And she's a great therapist, so it was received kindly. But no, I do not want to abuse the texting thing, because Lord knows I'll send you a text, and it's not a short text ever from me.
Yeah.
Ever. So yeah.
I don't know. You're a very short texter though. Maybe not to your therapist, but in general, you're very to the point. Like, there's times I'll see you text people and I'm like, Meredith, that was rude. But it was just, there's no pleasantries.
No, I don't do pleasantries. I think we've talked about that a million times. But when I say what I mean is, like, I'll send you 87 short texts in the span of 15 seconds.
Yes, you will.
So it will look like this on your phone. It'll be this massive blob of blue, but they will all be like 1 to 3 words. I can't help it.
That's so funny. I'm a person who gets all my thoughts out at one time. And you and Sierra are both like
does she has that disease too?
Sprinkler texters. Just
there it
and
is.
I'm like, what is happening? Is that it makes a ding every time, you know?
Like you listen.
I know.
And then I think I sent you, where is it? Then I sent you, and this is what I have to do to Tiffany all the time.
It worked.
I say, let me know when you've read all of this so I know you are all caught up.
Yeah, that was smart.
I was like, because I sent you, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 texts, independent texts in a row.
Yes, you did.
And then I responded, let me know when you've received this so that I know you are ready to proceed.
Yeah, I love it though. That's helpful. That's the kind of friendship I like having, is somebody who's like, hey, I know you're a dumbass, ADHD, crazy, scatterbrain. So just let me know you've read this, because I'm notorious for reading it, taking a note, and then, dude, I'm the worst. Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
Meredith and I were in the hotel room, and she was like, hey, when do you want to have a meeting with Phil? And she's like, what about Thursday after the podcast? I was like, perfect. I don't do anything on Thursdays. That's fine. And she's like, do you want to check? And I'm like, no, I know my schedule. Like Thursdays, TIOLI, that's it. And I was like, I probably should check, but I won't. And then so she's like, okay, I'm locking it in. I'm like, do it. So confident.
Do it.
And then I looked at Thursday, and it's the busiest day I've ever had in my life. Like I had so many things scheduled, and I'm like, oh my God. And the worst part is, they're things like I was looking forward to forever. Like, and it just happened to be that day. And so then I had to have the awkward conversation, like, Meredith, you're never going to believe this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to make that meeting with Phil.
You know, I don't know that I've ever really had a shocked face around you, because I can see these things coming. Because I remember that moment where I said to you, can you please check your calendar? No.
I know.
I don't have nothing.
I know. I was so embarrassed.
You were indignant and adamant about the fact that your Thursday was wide open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then when it came time, and you're like, don't forget that meeting. I'm like, what meeting? And then I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. I've got a full schedule. What am I going to do?
And then in the meeting with Phil,
oh my gosh,
you felt so personally attacked.
Are we going to talk about this?
Oh, Phil. I mean,
listen,
Phil put us in our place.
Phil, our sweet angel editor, who has been there for us since day one, who has been a secret mystery person to me. I finally got to meet him.
Oh.
And Meredith, was I like a dork or what when we first got on? I'm like,
you fangirled hard for Phil.
I did. I couldn't believe it. I was like, it is such an honor, Phil, Philip, to meet you. I can't. I'm so. And he instantly was like,
cut the shit, lady.
How many concussions have you had? And I was like, excuse me?
No, I think within the first 15 seconds, he was like, do you both know that you're deaf? Like, you need to make appointments to see an audiologist immediately. You both need hearing aids.
He wasn't kidding either. He's like, you have tinnitus from the concussions. And I was like, what concussions? He's like, you've had concussions. I was like, I don't think I've had concussions. He's like, no, you do. You have tinnitus. I can tell, because when I'm editing, I can tell you both can't hear shit.
Yeah.
And he just like, he was so honest about shit that I was like shocked. Like, Phil, I thought we were friends. He put us in our place. He's like, you guys pretty much suck balls and need to get your shit together.
Ooh.
Was that too far?
No. Yeah, it was true. I mean, he was very honest. He was very, because he's like, you guys, and he was super sweet too, because he was like, you guys have a phenomenal show. Your show is amazing. It's a great show. He's like, but it could be way better if you did simple things that we've told you to do for 7 years.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating.
I imagine.
For 7 years, he's been like, talk into the fucking microphone, you morons. For 7 years, he has had to listen to my acid reflux, to us screaming at each other and into the microphone because we apparently can't hear at all.
Right, which is so confusing to me because everything sounds great to me.
Well, and then
Everything
I
sounds
told him
great.
about my audible gasping syndrome, which he was
Mhm.
like, it's not audible gasping syndrome. You're deaf, so you're scared all the time when things surprise you. And
Yeah,
I was like, that makes sense, Phil.
there was like a couple of episodes where you could hear like a demon in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, and people were like, "What was that? I'm so scared." Like they were genuinely scared. And Phil's like, "It's your fucking nasty ass throats. Clear them, you animals." Like
He's
what?
the best. He's the best.
He is. He
He
is
is.
very matter of fact.
He's the best. It was wonderful. He was like, yeah, those demons. Yeah, you two need to take some Prilosec.
Yeah, yeah. He told me all about myself, dude. I was like, what? I started Googling, like, is it possible to have concussions without knowing? Like, how many concussions can one person have before they're deaf? Like, I was so
Before
confused.
they're deaf.
I was so confused.
Oh my gosh, it's too funny.
Anyway, thanks,
It's
Phil, for everything.
Yeah, no, it was a great meeting. It really, the look on Tiffany's face when he started handing out the honesty was precious because she was like so offended.
Yes, I was.
And she was looking like she was righteously offended, like, how dare he? Like it was a clutching of the pearls.
Yeah, I was in shock at the criticism, not criticism, at the feedback that he was giving. I was like, there's no way we're talking about the same person here because I am perfect.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, Tiff's in trouble. And then the tides turned quickly.
Thank gosh. Yes, I remember that moment.
Because I sat there all smug, like, ha. This is what you get. And he's like, BT Dubs, you're deaf as well. And did it. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. He went off on some shit. He's like, you did it just now. That noise. You did it just now. And you're like, I was breathing. He's like, nope.
He did. He called. And I was like, I was like, how do I even know to not do it if I don't know that I am doing it?
Right. Yeah, it was wild.
I was so confused because I was like, did I burp? Did I not burp? Did I fart? I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like, can you hear my farts? And when my throat gurgles, like, is it a fart? Like, I didn't even know what was happening. At the end of the meeting, I was so confused.
I know. I was too. And it was so funny. I was like, I gotta go, but I guess thank you. This is good. I'm sorry for who I am as a person.
I'll be making several appointments to get my hearing and whatnot checked. Yeah, I'll be seeing my therapist extra this week. Thanks, Phil. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah. So on a fun, positive note, I don't know if I told you this or not.
Probably not. You don't tell me anything.
Okay. Last week or the week before, Dave was like, hey, I want to take you out of town. And I was like, what? Because Dave hates out of town and taking me places.
Oh.
So I was like, what do you mean? You talking to me? And he's like, yeah, I want to take you on a trip. And I was like, me? You want to leave and go somewhere with me and pay money? That doesn't sound like you. Then I wondered if he was concussed. And he's like, no, the weather is getting a little bit nicer. I thought maybe we could take a road trip and go have a golf weekend. So he is taking me up into Georgia, which is not far for us because we're basically South Georgia. North Florida is basically South Georgia. So it's just a little like 2-hour road trip. So he was like, Sophia has a birthday party. So her best friends are turning 16 and the mom is taking them on a girls' trip for their birthday, which is super sweet. And I wish her well.
Yeah, I was going to say. Ain't no
but she's taking a group of 16-year-old girls on a little weekend vacation because it's President's Day weekend. So the kids have 4 days off.
4?
Yeah, our kids have Friday and Monday. Because it's a end of like 9 weeks or something and President's Day.
Oh, okay.
So they're taking a trip. And then so Dave was like, so the only kid that we have to rehome is Brian. And we could have a kid-free weekend. Which never happens.
Right.
So we asked his very good friend, I asked his mom, I was like, could you take Brian for the weekend? Because Dave asked me to go out of town for the weekend and I would love to go, but you'd have to have him from Friday until Monday morning. And she's like, absolutely. So she was super sweet about it. And then I thought, there's no way I'll be able to get the dogs boarded because it's a holiday weekend. But I called and they had a spot. So we like very quickly made plans. He took care of the golf reservation and we're leaving tomorrow morning.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and we're going out of town for 3 days.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, this is wonderful. I'm so excited. We're going to get to go spend some kid-free time together. It's going to be chilly. I'm not super pumped about that, but it will be in the 50s because we have a cold front coming in.
The timing is so great though. Like how nice to get away after this like unbelievably taxing, stressful, scary couple of days.
People in the comments are like, did you check to make sure he actually booked a hotel this time? He has taken me places and not had a hotel. So,
oh, that's so funny.
But he did have an email last night. We were looking at it and he had an email confirmation. So we do in fact have a room.
I love that.
But yeah, no, it is. It was not the, and I was telling this to Tiffany yesterday and then we'll end on this because, you guys know me. If you've been following for any amount of time, you know that Tiffany and I are polar opposites when it comes to our anxiety and how we deal with it. Tiffany is very
stagnant.
Well, what do they call it? Like paralysis?
Yes.
Anxiety paralysis, where my anxiety is like, go clean some grout, go do this, go do that. Since Sunday, I have had anxiety paralysis. When I tell you, I didn't go live the past few days. I had loads of laundry sitting on my couch. I hadn't done dishes. And it was over this tour and what to do and going back and forth in my head and going back and forth with the tour manager and going back and forth with Tiffany and Dave. And that is not like me. But it was to a point where I hadn't changed out of my bathrobe and my nightgown in days. And I was like, okay, this is not good. This is bad.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew. I was like, I can't sustain this pressure. And it just was like, this is the reality. You got to deal with it.
Right.
So anyway, I did binge a lot of TV in that time.
Yeah. Good. I feel like you needed it. So I'm glad you got to do that.
I guess I must have, but it was not it wasn't a planned anxiety paralysis, so it did throw some monkey wrenches.
Right.
But anyway, all is well. So today I just have to clean the house, pack, get my nails done, take care of the dogs. We got a meeting after this. Just a few things to do today since I put it all off. We have a meeting right after you.
You and I? Oh yeah. Okay. Fuck. All right. I forgot. It was a new
okay.
I just found out about it.
Yeah, no, not true.
Yesterday.
All right, guys. So join us next week for another episode of Take It.
I'm so scared about this meeting, or Leave It, an advice-ish podcast hosted by two struggling moms who clearly
have no idea what we're doing. But we'll see you here again next week.
Yes,
and the week after that, and the week after that. We love you.
Yes, we do. Oh my God, Meredith said it. That's how you know it's real. We love you. Bye.
All right. Let me hit the buttons and hang tight.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your sweet comments. I appreciate everything that you said. I was reading them. I usually don't read them, but I wanted to read them today because you know, I love you.
Hey, just a reminder, you guys have a meeting.
Are you kidding?
Um,
We're still on.
yeah, I know.
Okay.